Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Saxon Ring for round 11 of MotoGP in 2026, and welcome along to Inside the Paddock with me, Jack Appleyard, fresh from the opening session of the weekend here in Germany, topped by Trackhouse Racing's Ralph Fernandez. What a moment it is for Trackhouse Racing at this current period in MotoGP. Became only the second team in the sprint era to have gone back-to-back in 1-2 finishes, doing it in both the sprint and the Grand Prix. Last time out at the Dutch Grand Prix, it was Ralph Fernandez who, of course, took victory in the sprint before having to settle for second place behind teammate Ai Ogura 24 hours later, as a Japanese rider went on to win the first victory in the top class for Japan in over 20 years. And as a result, put himself right in the middle of the title picture. Yes, this is the final round before we go on to our summer break. It also is the halfway stage of this 2026 season and halfway through it, and I don't think we're any wiser as to who will be world champion this year. We're coming to the weekend with 4 different riders, all capable of leaving the Saxon Ring on Sunday night and going in to the summer break and the opportunity to lie on the beach knowing that they lead the MotoGP World Championship. Currently Jorge Martin, who holds a 7-point advantage over Marco Bezzecchi, with Fabio Di Giannantonio, Ducati's Fabio Di Giannantonio, 16 adrift in third with Ai Ogura, 25 adrift in fourth. And of course, we shouldn't discount, although we cannot go into the summer break as World Championship leader, the king of the Saxon Ring, Marc Marquez, who was second fastest this morning, able to post some pretty impressive lap times. One of the only riders inside the top 10 to have stuck with the same set of tyres from the start of the session to the very end, yet still was able to finish second. He is gunning for a record equaling 10th career victory around this venue. He would become only the second rider in the history of our sport to have taken 10 separate victories at the very same venue. The other one to do that, I'll give you a chance to guess. Can you get it? Well done if you did. It is, of course, Giacomo Agostini at Imatra. 10 separate victories for Ago, and of course that record dates back well over half a century ago. Would be quite the record for Mark if he's able to get that perfect 10 this weekend. So we just dawdle around the Trackhouse box. In fact, let's turn around. I'm going to show you Donatello Giovinazzi and Ai Ogura's data engineer, who you might be able to see here, have had, this is Andy Griffiths, who have had a little bit of a haircut. Donatello here on the right-hand side was sporting a pretty lovely beard, and Andy on his left was sporting some pretty lovely long hair as well. They're in deep discussions at the moment, so we'll leave them to it. But as part of a bet that Andy in particular on the left-hand side there had made with his rider Ai Ogura at the start of the season, he said, I'm not cutting my hair. We've seen this before, haven't we? Alex Rins famously, when he won at the Circuit of the Americas, what was it, 3 years ago now, got the clippers out and shaved the head of the vast majority of mechanics at the time. And it's the same once again for Ai Ogura's data engineer there, Andy, who had pretty glorious long hair. And as a result of Ai Ogura's victory, I was able on Thursday, yesterday, to get the Zero razor out and whip off all of Andy's previous luscious locks. So, yeah, unfortunately for Andy, luckily we're in the summer months, so his head isn't going to get too cold, but it's something to get used to now that he's gone from a nice little bob to sporting a Phil Mitchell style bald head. So there you go. I haven't made such bets with any MotoGP riders as of yet, because I'm quite keen on keeping hold of what hair I've got left for as long as humanly possible. Right, down towards Castrol Honda, who are now the only factory team in MotoGP. They were still waiting for an announcement as to who their 2027 riders will be. We had confirmation since I was last with you on Inside the Paddock. I'm sure a lot of you are well aware. In case you're not, we had confirmation that the factory KTM squad for next year will be Alex Marquez and Fabio Di Antonio. We had confirmation that the factory Yamaha squad will be Jorge Martin and Ai Agura. Adding to that, the fact that we already know that Ducati will be made up of Marc Marquez and Pedro Acosta, and Aprilia will be made up of Pecco Bagnaia and Marco Bezzecchi. See, Ethan Guevara. Ethan, good morning. How are you? Enjoying a rice cake there? Of course, I'm sure getting a bit of British influence there. Fish and a rice cake, followed by fish, and then a couple hours later, followed by fish and a rice cake. If you don't get that one, then go onto YouTube, and I'm sure you'll be able to see the reference that I'm referring to there. See Fabio Quartararo posing for some photos. Unfortunately, I'm not quick enough. Or am I? Can I quickly dive in? I'm not sure if I can be. I think Fabio is going to be on his way very quickly. Why don't I just jump in front? And I might be able to just quickly, before he shoots off. Fabio, before you go, good morning.
Yeah, could be better, could be worse, but was not so bad.
Perfect.
Thank you.
There we go. Cutting edge journalism once again to get the insight from Fabio, who is always, a man that can style both sort of the top clothing brands around the world, has been invited to, is it Gucci or, I can't remember what it was, one of the top brands, could have been Hugo Boss or, who else is from Italy? Let me have a think here. Chanel, they're French. Anyway, it was one of the really fancy ones. Was invited there and was joined by the likes of Odell Beckham Jr. and other famous sporting stars and models. But then at the same time, of course, when he's in work mode, he's also able to throw on a pair of Crocs. Nothing up with a pair of Crocs. Of course, other footwear are available. MotoGP not sponsored by Crocs yet, although what a sponsorship that could be. I'll happily, if I'm paid a few quid, sport a pair of Crocs throughout the weekend, and actually in these conditions would be wonderful to have. Very comfortable Crocs and breathable as well. So there we go. But as I said, not sponsored yet. But if anyone from Crocs is watching, then I am open to, as our camera gets caught, careful, we are open to sponsorship opportunities. As we see this man here, Marc Marquez, we've not touched on him yet, but we should. Second in the first practice session of the weekend, but didn't come without a crash at the Omega curve. Touched the curb, it was pretty obvious that it was just a small mistake from Marc, but was able to regather his thoughts, come back to the box and head straight back out. And I think what was most impressive, not second on the timesheets, was the fact that with his very last lap, with 20 laps on both the front and the rear tyre, he was able to set a 1:21.2, which was only around a quarter of a second adrift of the fastest lap of the session, which I'm sure he'll be pleased with. Marc, good morning. Happy with that?
Good wake up on the floor.
Yeah, but you picked yourself back up and went okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's a new bump there, so we need to be careful.
Absolutely. Espresso for this afternoon to make sure the mind's working.
Thank you. We will try.
There we go. Marc Marquez, I'm sure he's going to listen to my advice there to have a quick coffee. He said, good wake up, and it was. A new bump on the inside, just touched the curb ever so slightly as well, I think we saw, but I don't think that's going to affect his confidence too much, if at all. As we said, his pace on used tyres was very, very impressive. But as it always is around the Saxon Ring, given the fact it's one of the shortest tracks on the calendar, the top 19 split by a second, meaning that the smallest of mistakes when we go into time attack mode later on this afternoon, and you have to get yourself inside the top 10, and even more so when we go into qualifying tomorrow, is going to be absolutely key to find that precision, to not make those mistakes. And as a result, we're going to be hoping to try and see those riders doing their very best to fire through and get inside the top two rows of the grid. Qualifying vital here, often can be a little bit messy as well. A slipstream, a tow, very, very useful around this place. So we'll have to see what is possible when we go into qualifying, and of course in the final 20 minutes of practice later today. But I would have to say, after the opening session of the weekend. We know in MotoGP it's foolish to pull any conclusions from just the opening 18, 19, 20 laps of the weekend, but I think we can still safely say that Marc Marquez, despite the crash, started the weekend as favourite and now, 45 minutes into the weekend, remains as favourite. But the picture as to who will be some of his closest contenders is definitely clear. Ralph Fernandez, one of them, of course, topped the session, and Fabio Antonio, who does hold the lap record around this place, was fastest on Friday 12 months ago, crashing out of a podium place 12 months ago as well. He will definitely be in the mix. So as you see, some of our younger MotoGP fans here, who looks very, very cool. I like his style with the sunglasses and the cap. Hello, how are you? Oh, there we go. Nice fist bump as we see cheering on for who we're cheering on for this weekend. Pedro Acosta, I imagine. Yeah, I think it's going to be Pedro Acosta in his KTM gear. Loving the glasses as well. I think that is a future MotoGP rider right there. And with that, with our quick chat with the likes of, who do we chat to? Fabio Quartararo and Marc Marquez. That's not a bad inside the paddock, I don't think. Are we going to improve on that? I'm not sure we are. Two of, I know for a fact, the real fan favourites back home. We managed to get a quick word with them. We managed to get an update on Mark after that crash. All okay. Just, I think, a little bit embarrassed to have made that mistake so early in the weekend. So, from the Red Bull KTM garage, we shall bid you a fond farewell. And don't forget, Inside the Paddock, back with you tomorrow, same time, same place, midday, live from the Saxon Ring. We'll be analysing everything that has just unfolded in qualifying. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.